acknowledge that.
Mhm.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we will get started. I'm not going to introduce myself since you already know me. But since there is a recording, I will just state my disclaimer for the recall that I'm not a doctor. It's not medical advice, any of that stuff. But, just sharing my experience as a doula and childbirth educator and a mom of two also, wanting to spread the wisdom, spread the knowledge. So, I did get a couple of questions submitted, but since you're on the call live, Candace, why don't you just go first and you can share what's going good for you right now, what's hard for you right now, and any questions you might have.
Okay. I think what's going well, literally, I'm so impressed that she did the little potty today.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
Because I feel like I'm growing and, as I learn her and she learns me, like I've gotten good at like knowing a lot of her little signals, right? So it's like I know when she's sleepy, around her eyes gets red. Like that's one thing. The way she sucks her fingers is different than when she's hungry or when her teeth hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like learning all these little things about her and how she kind of will act. And so I'm kind of excited. I'm excited that we did that. I did what you said, which was transition time. So it was like right after I fed her,
Okay.
and kind of sat with her for a little bit. And it was so funny because I think she went, but I didn't realize because I'm in my mind, I'm thinking like how an adult would be. It'd be like loud and noisy. And it was like, bloop. Like,
Yeah, they're like sneaky little
yeah.
clients.
So I feel like I kept her sitting there for like way longer than I needed to because I didn't realize, like, you know what I mean? But I was super excited. I was like, yeah, good job. And she's like looking at me like, what? What did I just do? Like, I don't even know that I
Yeah.
just did anything. But yeah, so I feel like I'm definitely growing in knowing her and, reading her and everything like that. So I think that's going well. And then it's letting me take on new things that we can learn together or we can get good at together, or we can experience together. Because I'm having some certain things are becoming more second nature. So then
Mm-hmm.
I can take on new things. So that's good.
That's awesome.
I guess things to improve. I do think that, I mean, I'm kind of like in the same way you are with like there's like a flow and you said there's rhythms, but I think I want to get, a little bit more rhythm like as opposed to being kind of random sometimes. I mean, I know it's hard. Like I personally think it's hard to have like a nighttime routine because you don't really know. I know she'll fall asleep pretty much at 7, but I don't really know. It could be 5. It could be like, later. So it's kind of hard for me to gauge like, but I want to get better at having, routines for her, like wake up, nighttime routines, that are, or rhythms.
Okay.
So that's one thing that I could probably grow in.
Okay. So talk me through right now, like what that normally looks like. Like you said, sometimes she goes to bed for the night at 5, and then sometimes
She
it's
literally, yes, she
okay.
will like knock out.
Okay.
She'll go to sleep. I mean, like, and I dream feed her
Mhm.
still. So she'll sleep for a while. Like she'll just keep sleeping because she doesn't really wake up hungry or anything like that.
And so is it the sort of thing where like you'll just have her with you and she'll fall asleep and then you're like, "Oh, I guess she's not. I guess she's down for the night," or how do
Yeah,
you what does it look?
yeah. So I typically I'll notice, like, this sounds terrible, I think, but I'll kind of notice she starts like as I notice it's like maybe 6:30 or she'll start getting tired, right? Like she'll start looking tired. Then I'll like maybe get a like little book out
Mhm.
and read a book to her. Um like change your diaper. Um I started James used to be the bath master, that's what we called it, but he wasn't very consistent. So I started being the bath master. So like it's like every other day or every whatever, like a bath. And kind of try to get her to like wind down and um yeah, like kind of get her to sleep. So that's kind of what that looks like.
Okay. And so that you do around 5, and then sometimes she just doesn't go to sleep until 7.
No, I try to start that at like 6:30.
Okay.
But we're also really active kind of as a family. I've noticed like she does a lot of stuff for a 5-month-old. Like she's like out with us. We go to like different places. So I think it's not as consistent. I think I probably need to be more, kind of consistent with like 6:30 we got to start, or whatever, like
Yeah.
um because she typically like on her own internal clock is out by like 7, like at like 6:45 she's like grumpy, and like right now she's like asleep.
Yeah.
She's like been asleep. So
Okay. Um, I think that when they're that little, one of the things that can help is paying attention to their wake windows. Have you heard of that term?
I was thinking, I haven't heard the term, but I was thinking because of work and me working from home that I need to start tracking like when she's awake and when she sleeps so I can see the pattern a little better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're already starting to see patterns, right? Like that she's ready for bed by 6:45 and usually asleep by 7. So I guess one of the things that may help with finding your natural rhythm is just paying attention to, is she going to sleep at 5 more nights than she's going to sleep at 7, or is she usually 7 and 5 is like just that random one? And then what was different in the day? Were her naps weird? And so, maybe she had like a really early nap in the day, like, I don't know, maybe her morning nap was shorter and so her second nap was earlier than usual, and then her third one was really early and so she just couldn't hang until 7, because that's like, I forget the wake window average for a 5-month-old, but it's probably only like 2.5 hours max, maybe.
Okay.
um
Yeah.
so, if her last nap was at like 2 or 3 or whatever, by 5, yeah, she's going to be tired. Whereas if she had a nap at like 3 or 4 or even into 5, then maybe she, that's why she's not ready for bed until 7. So, I can look that up. It's also, um, something that like every baby is, they're not cookie cutter robots. So the recommendation, right, might be that wake windows for a 5-month-old or every, they're awake no longer than like an hour and a half to 2 hours or whatever. But your baby might not fit in that normal cookie cutter perfect thing. So that's where I say like paying attention to what is normal for you guys is could be helpful. um she generally wakes up at this time and is ready for her nap at this time. She generally goes to bed by 7 and her last nap is at, she wakes up at 4:30 or whatever. Like you can kind of start to see your patterns and learn what her wake windows are and know, okay, when she's up longer than this, it's actually way harder to get her to bed. So if she wakes
Mhm.
up early, then I'm going to try to put her to bed early, um,
Yeah.
that kind of a thing. Sleep is just, it's one of those mysteries. Like parents get obsessed with sleep because it is so tricky because there's so many variables to it, right? And then there's like, is she not sleeping because she's like overtired, she stayed up too much and now she's, even sleepier, which weirdly can mess with their sleep? Or is it that she's teething, is she hitting like some developmental milestone? Like all these things can kind of disrupt sleep. So you'll never find a perfect pattern where it's like boom on the dot, she's asleep every night by this time, because you are going to have different days and different variables, and even if you did every day exactly the same, like she's growing and changing, so that's just going to throw things in the mix too. So I think it's good that you're looking at as like routine and rhythms rather than like a set schedule of like she
Yeah.
has to be asleep by 7, or I feel like a failure as a mom and I'm like, ruining her sleep or whatever it might be. um but
I'm
yeah,
lucky because she's kind of go with the flow, the kind like for a baby, right? She's like very go with the flow and kind of, so it doesn't really feel like that. It's more like I'm trying to, and I'm kind of go with the flow. So it's like we're both trying to flow. We're trying to like catch each other's flows and flow together. Like this morning she was up, I think, a lot longer now that you bring it up.
okay.
She didn't really get like her morning nap because James wanted to take her to a car show. So we all went to a car
Fun.
so we all went to a car show.
Okay.
And that's why, and then when she got back, I had to kind of cuddle her to sleep because it's what you're talking about. Like she couldn't, the bassinet was not doing it
Yeah.
because she was
Like
overly tired.
and overtired. Yeah.
So I cuddled her to sleep, and then she went to sleep, and then she was up a little bit, literally ate, used the potty, and then went right back out
Hmm.
because, like you said, she didn't get her morning nap. So now that you're bringing that up, I can see, oh, okay, she doesn't get that morning nap. She's like done all day, basically.
Yeah. So I think that, again, is trusting your intuition too as her mom to know her and know her signs and know, okay, I can tell that she's getting tired. So like she needs to be put down for sleep. And then that rhythm as far as like a bedtime routine, it can be as simple or as complicated as you make it. Like it can involve bath time. It doesn't have to. It can involve like singing and prayers and reading books, or it doesn't have to. Like mine with my son is really simple. Like I turn the lights down and he has a sound machine. And so like when those things come on, he kind of knows. But he gets changed. I have some essential oils that I put on him, and then I turn off the lights and I turn on the sound machine and we nurse. And then he likes to cuddle to sleep. So we cuddle to sleep. Um and we've done that for so long. Like it's not very long, right? Like it doesn't take that long to change his diaper and put jammies on, but he knows when we go up there, like we don't really play in his bedroom. He has a playroom and stuff like that. So he knows when we go in the bedroom, it's generally nap time or sleep time. And then when we do all those things, like I don't change him into pajamas any other time. So he knows he's got all these associations already. So he's not thrown off. Now, sometimes he is still wound up, like he needs time to kind of get tired. Um, and so then that comes with just like making sure he's had enough stimulation right through the day, and that can be like that mental and like visual stimulation, but it also could be physical too. Like did he get enough like crawling and playing? I forget the word for it now, but you need like that kind of
Mm.
stimulation as well, like for your muscles and your joints and things like that too. That's actually can be, for some it can be stimulating, but for a lot of kids it can be soothing to their like nervous system to help them wind down too. So like sometimes I can tell he just needs like a little rough house before he is ready to go to sleep. And so it seems counterintuitive because you would think like, oh, you're riling him up and he's not going to be able to go to sleep, but it can help sometimes get some of those wiggles out before sleep time. And sometimes
Yeah.
like if it's been a busy day, like he just needs to connect and like, talk his little baby jabber talk to me and have me talk back to him and stuff like that, and then he can go. um so yeah, it doesn't have to be a big complicated routine. What works for you and her is going to be what's good, and James too. Like if you guys can have that consistency, then she knows whether you're putting her down or he is, it's going to be the same kind of a rhythm. For the
Yeah.
most part, if you nurse, maybe he'll give her a bottle or whatever, but similarities so that she knows, oh, this is the time where I'm getting ready to go to bed.
That so one, what essential oils do you use? Which ones?
I use doTERRA brand, and they have a kids line actually. So there's it's the purple one. It's called Calmer, and it's got lavender and I think like vetiver and some other calming oils in it, that are just kid safe, and it's already blended, so it's safe to go on kids. So I just rub it on his feet and his tummy and his back and kind of give him a little quick massage. He thinks it tickles him, so it's usually like funny for him now rather than like calming and relaxing. But he's in that just like busy crawling, like he thinks it's funny to run away from me kind of stage anyway. So eventually I'm sure it will be soothing to him. And it was when he was really little, but
Yeah, that's sweet.
yeah.
Cool.
So is that helpful? Does that answer your question?
That does help a lot. I think it kind of gives me some room to think about what kind of routine and be kind of more intentional while being also, for us, like what actually do I need for my family? It's kind of
Yes.
what I'm walking away from, like try, maybe track some more of her times to try to figure out, her rhythms. And then in terms of like a bedtime routine, really think about, okay, well, like what works for us as a family, what works for Shiloh, um, and kind of be a little more fluid, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. One other thing I was thinking about when you were saying that is if she is really go with the flow, like that's awesome. And you guys can, especially where she's your first and you just have one, you can enjoy that. Our first was like that too. And so we did a lot of stuff in the evenings. He was just a horrible sleeper. He still struggles with sleep. But the plus side of that was that like we kind of kept our social lives for a long time because he just would tag along and hang out with us. And
Yeah.
and so, not that I'm like advocating for just throwing bedtime out the window. It sounds like she likes to go to bed at 7. So sticking to that will help kind of reinforce those good sleep habits, I think. I think a lot of it has to do with just personality and temperament. But on the flip side of that, if she's also very laid back, you can then use your bedtime routine to help even when it's not your normal rhythm. So let's say, James wants to go to a car show or something in the evening again, and you guys are out later than her bedtime. She may struggle a little bit more with bedtime that night, but then you can still use that routine to help her know, like, okay, this is now it's bedtime. It's later than
Mhm.
usual, it's going to be bedtime. Or let's say you have an early morning, so you're going to bump bedtime up a little earlier. Her body clock may not totally feel like it's bedtime yet because it's not 7 yet, but you can use that routine to help her learn that it is still time to go to sleep because your wake windows have moved up so much from getting up early that we're going to go to bed an hour earlier than usual. And hopefully that will help kind of like, again, those associations help her to stick to those same, like being able to go to sleep even if the root or the rhythm has changed for the day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Yeah, sleep's a tricky one. We My second son is much more like he likes the routine. He gets tired at the same time every night, wants to go to bed. And so like that was a big adjustment for my husband to kind of get on board with because he was used to just like we can still go out and stuff with our first son. And then I was like, no, we have to be home by this time because we have to get my younger son to bed because like he is not like our older one.
Isn't the second one the one that came so fast couldn't even get? Yeah, see, he's
Yeah.
very timely
Yes, yes.
from the start.
Yes. He's like, I'm on my own timeline and y'all better just get with it or without me. So yeah, it's funny the differences in their personalities and how that plays out into things like sleep and their birth and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, cool.
Do I have time to ask one quick question? But uh, do I have time? Am I taking too much
Yeah,
time?
you have all the time right now, my dear.
Okay. So she has started not wanting the bottle at all. I did get a different bottle to try. Um, Someone suggested maybe sleeping in like a shirt and then like leaving it so when, James tries to bottle feed her on the days that I'm at work, she like feels close to me. Cause I do think I was like, I feel like part of it is now that she's teething also, she's getting a little more opinionated about what she likes and doesn't like, right? As she gets like a little bit older. That when I'm like feeding her, I'm like, I've been trying to be really intentional, right? And like, remember, I'm not always going to be able to breastfeed her. So it's not something I want to be mindful about the experience of breastfeeding. Like, I want to be there present with my baby, not like doing other stuff and think, try to be like in the moment with her because it won't be forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm like stroking her little head and like rubbing her back. And like, it's like this very, so I'm wondering if it's like maybe just the bottle is just not cutting it anymore, also.
Yeah.
Kind of like it's just not for her, the experience is not like how
So
she,
my head
yeah.
wrap. Where's my
Yeah,
eye
yeah, yeah,
contact?
right. Like
Yeah.
I know no one bottle feeding her is doing that, right? Like, because I've watched like, James try, and then like my dad and my aunt, because we want to try to be able to let her stay with people, but she's really like refused. She'll go like the days that I'm at work, and I'm at work for 8 to 10 hours, and she will not eat. She's just not eating. She's waiting till I get back. She's eating with me, and that's part of the reason I feel like I can't stop dream feeding her, because the days that I'm not there, she's like refusing to eat, you know? So I'm trying to make sure that she is like eating enough, and
Mhm.
which the doctor says is she is. She's
Yeah.
chunky as I don't know what right now. But like but still it's worrisome that she's going like 8 to 10 hours like without food,
Yeah.
you know? Like because she just is, she'll just turn her head, she'll use her tongue to push out the bottle. I even got little like colostrum like silicone syringes to try to shoot at least like someone could try to shoot milk in her mouth when like I'm not here. And I'm gonna start, I guess, coming home for like a lunch break, and I'll just be a frantic mess, I guess. I don't know, you know what I mean? Trying to do that, but it's like she's not eating like without me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have any tips on that.
I do. Let me grab a book. That is very common, actually. They will do
Okay.
that, and then they will like make up for it and nurse even more frequently through the night, even because they just like they want you. So let me grab my book. Um,
Okay.
this is one of my favorite books for breastfeeding. It's called The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding.
Yes.
So I don't know if you've heard of it or read it, but I do think they have snippets in here. So let me see what they say, because that is definitely a very nuanced like not every baby does that, but it's also not uncommon.
And she used to take the bottle, and then she just decided, kind of coinciding somewhat with starting to teeth, that
Okay.
she just didn't want the bottle anymore. Like she just wasn't gonna do it.
I'm sorry, that is stressful.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. It's like,
Let's see. If your baby won't take a bottle. um is the so like do you warm the milk? Is it cool? Like have you tried?
so so I've tried different temperatures. The funny thing is when I tried to give it to her, actually, so we do have like a bottle warmer and everything, but almost started noticing that since she started teething, she didn't like it as warm. It was
Okay.
almost like she wanted it like a little bit cooler. I
Yeah.
guess maybe if my gums were hurting, I wouldn't want like maybe warm could almost like make it feel like, if your gums are inflamed, I could kind of see how like that would actually kind of hurt and make it more sensitive a
Or
little bit.
it could be soothing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So she actually, I noticed she liked it a little bit cooler, but at this point
If she
she's like
was
refusing.
taking bottles, totally fine, whether you
She
warm
was. The
it.
first time she took a bottle, she was like all about it. She was good, and she was doing fine. And then maybe it's been about like 3 weeks that she has just like refused bottles.
Okay. Um, okay. I know there is a section about like them doing this because of work. That was not it.
She's protesting. She's
Yeah.
going on hunger. Literally, she's like on a
Like,
hunger strike.
yeah.
And I work from home 3 days a week. So 3 days a week, she's like good. She's with me, and it's these 2 days she just, yeah,
All right. I might have to, it's a big book, so I might have to search
it
this and
is.
send you the info later. So I'm
Okay.
spending the whole thing just like reading this book, trying to find it for you.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But I do know that that happens. And I think that if she's hungry, like she won't starve, right? So if she's hungry, she will take a bottle. But it is common for babies to just wait till mom gets home, and then they'll nurse a lot when you're around. So sometimes they'll wake you up more frequently those nights after you've been at work, to kind of make up for it. My neighbor was telling me about, she's like her sons are almost my age, she had kids a while ago, and she was talking about her oldest did that. She said he wouldn't take a bottle from anyone while she was at work, and then he'd be up all night nursing to make up for it. And she was so exhausted because she would go to work all day and then she wouldn't get any sleep at night because he
Yeah.
would nurse all night long. So um it is tricky, and it's like it's kind of sweet because it shows like their attachment and love for you, but
Yeah.
like hello, I need
I
and you
know.
bottle.
Well,
So
yeah.
it
Yeah, I
also
keep
could be a phase. Like she may, like you said, if she's teething or if she's adjusting. I would also try, is it all frozen milk or do you pump fresh?
I do pump fresh too, and it seems to like not matter,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah. Because that's another thing is that sometimes freezing it, certain milks can have like it can change the taste sometimes once it's thawed. Um, but it sounds like she's really just wanting EO. That would be my guess.
Yeah, it's just sweet.
I know it is. She's like, I'll just eat with my mom. Thanks. Thanks for the bottle. So I will see what I can find in that book and then I'll send it to you afterwards. Because I do know somewhere in that is this giant thing. It's like, I don't know how many pages, hundreds, 500 pages, over 500. So
Yeah,
I'll find it and send that to you if they have any other tips and tricks. I
yeah,
know that some of the things are just like try making it more like nursing. So, if there's a chair you sit in or a position that you use to try to mimic that and see, try to have them rub her head maybe and see if that'll work. Um,
right,
and then if it doesn't, then also doing the opposite sometimes can help. So trying to make it as different from nursing as possible so that you have that association with her. But then when she takes the bottle, it's not like it doesn't compare to nursing, so she's not going to do it. It's just like it's something totally different. Taking a bottle is not associated with nursing. And so maybe he's walking around with her, maybe he's like bouncing her or singing, or she's in a different position. Maybe she can kind of be, I don't know, like sitting, leaning on him, facing out, and having the bottle like this or something.
yeah,
So just trying like totally changing the environment and making it different and seeing if having no associations with nursing helps. So those are two things you can try with environment. And then it sounds like you've already experimented with different bottles, different milk temperature, like frozen versus
yeah,
fresh.
yeah,
So there are other things that you can change to try to make a difference. I will say I had luck. My oldest wouldn't take a bottle either for anything. And I was like, I'm going to be gone at these bursts that could be who knows how many hours long.
yeah.
Like, I need to know that he can take a bottle. And so we bought the Kind system. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's
Mm-mm.
KIINDE. And they have bags that you can pump straight into. And then the bag slides into um it's in the shape of a bottle, but it's basically just like kind of a covering. It's not actually a bottle. It just holds the bag and then the nipple attaches to the bag. Um and so they made the system to try to like make it easier for moms, right? That you're not pouring milk into a bag and then pouring it back into a bottle and all these things. They're like the bag can become the bottle. There's my 10-minute time.
Oh no.
The bag can become the bottle. And the reason it worked so well for my son is because my husband could kind of squeeze the bag and like squirt milk into his mouth. So kind of like your idea with the syringes, rather than
Oh
like
yeah.
trying to get her to suck on it, you could like almost put
Oh
the
yeah.
into her mouth. So that might be something else you can try if you really get like worried and desperate. But
It's like her little baby flask. Like I'll have to like take a picture and show you. It literally looks like a baby flask. Like it's like this
that's
tiny little thing. And like it's like
so funny. That is so funny.
yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully that helps. And like I said, I can send you
Mhm.
some more nursing things. Do you have any other questions before we?
No. Those are my two most important questions.
Okay.
So,
Awesome. I'm going to answer. There were two that came in on the survey. So I'm going to try to answer those in less than 10 minutes and see then if people watch the replay, they can have their questions answered. So um, one mom asked, if do I recommend newborn classes and or how do you overcome the fear of caring for your baby in the beginning? So
mm,
I will say I definitely recommend childbirth classes. So preparing for the birth process, and you'll get a little bit of newborn care in a childbirth class. But I would say it also depends on what your experience with newborns is like. Did you grow up the oldest of 7 kids and you were mommy number 2 and you dealt with lots of babies, or have you not really been around them much in your past? Like, do you feel like you know how to change a diaper, like know how to hold a baby and things like that? Um, like, I think that the fact that somebody's asking this question probably means that they're not so confident in that. So I think that a class could, oh my goodness, sorry if you can hear all that dinging. My family chat threads like blowing up all of a sudden. So yeah, I think that a class could help ease some nervousness and give you a little bit more confidence. But if you're looking for like a more cost effective way, there are also a lot of books out there that can be really helpful too. And so, um, one that I really recommend, I'm a big fan of attachment parenting. I think it's helpful for parents and for kids. And so the attachment parenting book by William and Martha Sears is a good one. Um, I think it just really promotes the idea of, like, again, I'm all about trusting your intuition, learning to listen to your gut and to know your baby and trust them to communicate with you as well. Um, there's a lot of classes out there that can just tell you, like, your baby needs to sleep at XYZ time and they need to eat at XYZ time, feed them every 2 or 3 hours and put them to sleep at blah 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 time. And again, babies aren't robots or cookie cutters. And so I think, if there's a class out there that can show you things like how to hold a baby or how to wear a baby in a baby carrier, and best practices for like changing diapers and things like that, that's valuable. But things like learning how to get your baby to sleep, or I don't know, like how to know what your baby needs, a lot of that is going to come from you learning your baby and learning to communicate with them. Um, so I would also say having a postpartum doula on hand can really help you overcome the fear of caring for your baby in the beginning, because they can walk you through some of this stuff. I do this at my postpartum visits. Like, I help moms learn how to wear a baby carrier and make sure they feel confident in putting their baby in there. Um, because there's all sorts of ones out there, and ones that are good for newborns and ones that aren't. But you can also have a doula come specifically for postpartum that can help you learn some of these things and find your new normal, and know what's normal, what's not normal, and just help you build that confidence and trusting in your new motherly intuition. So, yes, I think newborn classes can be valuable. I think it depends on the class. Um, but I think nothing can replace your intuition. So hopefully that's a helpful answer. And then the other question was from a toddler mom who was getting ready to have a second baby, and just tips for getting ready for that. So, without the mom on the call, it's kind of hard to get tons of context to know like exactly what your concerns might be. But I will just give some general tips as a mom who had a toddler when her newborn was born. And I'll just say soak it up, like soak up those moments with your toddler. Um, while they're your only child for now, like enjoy those moments. But then also give yourself grace, because you are tired, you're probably not feeling well, like there's a lot that you probably might want to do but not be able to do. And so it's okay that you maybe aren't there for your toddler in the same capacity that you have been prior. So lots of snuggles, lots of lay down games. If they're a boy and they like driving cars over you, like you become the road and let them drive and give you a little toy car massage, or play doctor and you're the patient, and let them brush your hair. Like, there's tons of games, and you can Google it or look on Pinterest. There's a lot of games for if mommy needs a nap and you need to entertain your child, how to like kind of feel like they're still playing with you. And then going back to routine, which we talked about earlier, um, that can really help your toddler know what to expect and feel like a sense of consistency even when things are starting to change. But then also marrying that with flexibility and knowing that like some days you're just going to wake up and like have no energy for anything, and your plan's going to go out the window. And so again, that grace and that flexibility to work with what you've got for the day. But trying to stick to a routine can really help your toddler to maintain some sense of normalcy still through the change. And even then, once baby comes, to know that like what they can expect, even though things are so different. So carrying that through not just your pregnancy, but your birth and postpartum as well. Lining up postpartum support, that's also really important. For you to, helping to take care of you as you're recovering, but then also for your toddler. So people come and they say, "Hey, do you need anything? Can I bring a meal?" And you say, "Yes, but also, can you take so and so to the park? Or can you play with so and so for a little bit while I sneak in a nap or a shower or whatever it might be?" Because honestly, like your baby is going to sleep, or just want to cuddle you or like nurse, like they're going to be the easy part generally. Your toddler's the one that's going to have so much energy and want to go play and do all the things and jump on mommy and climb up and see the baby. And like, that's the one you're going to need help with. So have help lined up for like, okay, who can take them for play dates and give them attention that they're needing and wanting while I'm still recovering. Also, if you have a partner and you can line up, paternity leave or maternity leave for them so that they can help manage the household and your older child while, again, you're just nesting in and recovering. Don't be afraid to ask for help, including your husband. Like, just say, like, "Hey, can you get me some water?" instead of getting up and getting water for yourself, or a brownie or ice cream or whatever it might be. Ask them to switch the laundry if they're not doing laundry. Ask them to go get the groceries, or sign up for an Instacart. Whatever you can outsource, do it, because really your job is going to be taking care of your newborn, recovering yourself, letting yourself heal, letting yourself rest, um, and letting go. And then when it is just you and two kids, something that can be really helpful is having a second monitor. So I try to give my toddler activities or like maybe a show when I'm putting my younger one down for nap time. But there are some times where, he's a little bit older now too, but there are some times where I can't be in the same room with both of them at the same time. So having that second monitor can help ease your mind sometimes to be able to keep an eye on both and just know like, okay, I need to go out there right now. So yeah, those are some of my tips for preparing for life with a toddler. Less than a minute. I gotta get through all this. So much advice. I need to learn to cut it shorter. So the last thing I'm going to say is for our August call, what I'm going to do is it's going to be a sign up link still, but I don't have the date picked because I am going to do kind of like a wait list thing. And then once we have enough signups, then I'll send out information about an upcoming date that you all can attend to. But that way I'm not continuing to schedule out dates where, I love the one-on-one, this is great, but I want to, like the idea is to kind of build community as well. And so for sure, you can always contact me and reach out if you have specific questions, but we're going to try that and see how that goes.